Well, we just had a nice little lunch at Terrain Cafe. This is a new Terrain. Usually go to the one nearest to Philly, which is in Glen Mills. And this happens to be in Doylestown. And yeah, it's quite the space. We already took a little sneak peek in it, so we're gonna take you for a little tour. And every time we come, it's always like gray and windy and whatnot. Well, today is no different. Actually, if we ever wanted Christmas lights, this is the place to get Christmas lights because they're very tasteful. You see that? All right, so we're gonna head it back to their plants, see what they got in store. So this is a Zebrina right here, you can see. Nice alocasia Zebrina. These I find were pretty difficult in the house, but if you could make it work and then make it work. And then the alocasia cupreas, which at one point were extremely difficult to get, but I think they've moved them into tissue culture. And so now you're seeing something with a $30 price tag, which is actually pretty good for something like this. They've definitely come down in price because there was at some point when they weren't in tissue culture, these were far more expensive, going for the several hundreds of dollars, but they weren't always like that. So, but very cool. I always think they look like a solid pack of abs right there. Here we go, Pedato radiatums. They don't always start off with this kind of finger-like foliage, so they start to develop that over time. Very beautiful. This one looks like a gloriosum, like really young gloriosums. That's correct, they're little young gloriosums. And not a bad price, 38 bucks for these. Again, a little still high on the price tag, but aeroids. This looks like a Reginula black velvet. And you can see how beautiful these are. Tends to be a little bit of a spider mite magnet. So I've had these in my home and could maintain them for a little bit of time, but not for the full time. Sprucianums, the Matophyllum sprucianums. So this, again, very beautiful plant. Also known at one point Philodendron goldii. That was what it had previously been known as. These had been moved over into the Matophyllum, but if you recall, we had a nice interview with Dr. Tom Crowett, who is one of the co-authors on that paper, and now he's kind of like stepping back from the idea that the Matophyllums exist and they might still all be under Philodendron. So go figure on the taxonomic stuff. Then you have these Dieffenbachias, all different kinds here I could see. And then some of your typical kind of Philodendron cultivars that you would see that feel a little bit more bird's nesty. Back here, you have some of your more special varieties. Starting over here, you have your pink princesses. I'm actually just curious because these are quite meaty. Oh no, this is Dark Lord. Sorry, I thought that was a pink princess. 65 bucks for this Dark Lord. God, it really fooled me right there. I thought I saw a pink princess in that. And then the Billietiers, which I thought were actually reasonable price. And I'm wondering if these are actually in tissue culture right now. Not that they're not too hard to actually just take by propagations or cuttings. And so this is a 4-inch for 68 bucks, but they're pretty hardy looking. So, and very attractive plants. That orange petiole is something that people really gravitate towards. And of course, if you could find the variegated ones, that's something else that people really absolutely love. This is Philodendron Florida Green. You can see a nice red petiole right there as well. Now, this one looks like a painted lady, but which one is this? Yeah, painted ladies. So you can see this one growing up already on this like coconut coir pole, because I found if you do not grow these on a pole, they start to get smaller and smaller leaves, kind of stick in that kind of juvenile phase. This one's interesting. This one has a little bit more of that squamiferum kind of style, but this one says it's Philodendron fuzzy petiole, so they probably don't know what this is a hybrid of. But look at that kind of petiole. I would say that it was like crossed with some kind of squamiferum, just to get some of that petiole fuzziness in there. And this one's an interesting one. Let's see this. Very attractive. Philodendron Summer Glory. That's a pretty one. I love the bronzy foliage, kind of purplish pink underside. That's pretty. Almost has a little bit of a gloriosum vibe, but a little bit shinier. That one's not bad, 44 bucks for that. That's kind of a gorgeous one. If I was in like plant buying mode right now, I might actually walk home with that one. Now this one is massive. So these are ones that like Steve's Leaves was even growing from seed. Philodendron stenolobum. Clearly you have to have a little bit more space in your place for this one. Wouldn't be bad if you had it on a higher place and it was kind of just coming down as it is right here. But not a bad plant. Looks pretty. Some of them even have some offsets coming off. Fantastic. Well, that's a really nice look. You're just kind of comparing to what they have compared to some of the other stores that I was just in the sill, saw what they have here. You know, I mentioned this one. This is one of the ones that I had been looking out for. The white fusion, the Calathea white fusion, which is probably Japortia, but some of this coloration on these leaves, I mean, I know it's this specific leaf. This looks just like much more generous in the being white. This one looks like more of the traditional white fusions. You see how this one just has a bit more white on the leaves, and this one's a bit more striated. So this one itself looks just like slightly different to me. Maybe not enough to like say it's a different cultivar, but just notice that. And then of course, folks who are into the peperomias, Peperomia prostrata, which they kind of look like little backs of turtles. So this one's really lovely, especially as a hanging basket plant. Just make sure you give it a little bit more top-down light so it doesn't go bald on you. And ficus, I don't think anybody could ever tire a ficus. It's just an incredible large tree that you could grow indoors. So they have lots of different types of varieties here, including the burgundy. But yeah, not a bad mix for terrain. And another beautiful location. It's like, it feels much more spacious here than the one at Glen Mills. And you know, one of the things that terrain really excels in is just like their pots, their gifts, their accoutrements, their books, everything that kind of has something to deal with like indoor and outdoor gardening. They also have a really lovely outdoor garden section. So yeah, very pleased with their new space and the location here. So good job, Terrain.